Welcome to New Teacher Talk. My name is Tim Neubert, and I'm the Executive Director of the American Association for Employment and Education, also known as AAEE. I'm here today with Ann Hlabangana-Clay, Education Associate for Educator Equity and Recruitment in the Delaware Department of Education, to discuss ways to advocate as a teacher leader. It's great to have you here today, Ann. Please share a little bit of information about yourself and your work and how you've come to develop some insights about today's topic.
Thank you so much for having me on today, Tim. Really excited about this opportunity to unpack a little bit about what it means to be an advocate as a teacher leader. As you mentioned, I work for the Delaware Department of Education, and I oversee educator equity as well as recruitment. While serving in this office, I've had the opportunity to impact so many lives as far as leading the work to develop sustainable and equitable frameworks, opportunities, partnerships through several things such as Delaware's first Grow Your Own grant, Delaware's first registered teacher apprenticeship, and Delaware's first educator recruitment plan self-study with our HR directors across the state. Really excited also about this because I was a teacher leader before moving into administration and, of course, my current role here. And I want to empower folks to really take on that role of advocacy as that teacher leader. When we think about teacher leaders in any state, across the country, across the globe, their role really is to bring some of themselves into the work that they do, right? It's stepping beyond that, oh, I'm getting paid. And some teacher leaders never get paid to do the extra work that they do, but because they feel passionate about advocating for students and or being able to advocate for other adults in their building, they're able to make a difference, right? So you're making a difference in your classroom. The definition of advocating through teacher leadership in your building is really, that definition is you're making a difference beyond your classroom.
So how early in one's teaching career should they consider taking on teacher leadership roles?
I'm encouraging everyone to start from day one. I love to talk with even those who are in student teaching roles and those who are in their teacher residency roles of being an advocate through teacher leadership. Certainly, if you are already in the classroom, even as a novice teacher, you should be thinking about ways that you can make a difference. And I don't mean that if you think about the teaching profession, most of us have a sense of urgency around whether it be student academic growth, maybe it's student social emotional growth. It could be we have a passion about wanting to develop self-care activities or opportunities for our teammates. And so those are all teacher leader thoughts that then get put into action. And the reason why I say it doesn't matter how early you start thinking about that and then acting on that, and we'll talk about what acting on that looks like. But the bottom line is, if you feel it's a gap, a need, an opportunity that is not currently there, and it will enhance the culture of the building, or it will enhance the quality of learning and life for a student, then that's when you take that thought, that passion, and sit down with your building administrator, principal, assistant principal, or someone else who is maybe currently that is in a teacher leader role. I think that it's most important, once you feel it, is to then take that action. And you're going to find that building administrator, that head of a committee, et cetera, or maybe it doesn't exist yet. And someone else on your working team is going to have that same passion. What's exciting is that it never hurts to share great ideas when we're keeping children at the focus. And of course, our staff, they are important too. So those are all ways that you can start very early. Share your passion, share your ideas, and you'll be surprised what spark you've started.
I've heard you say that advocacy can involve students and or staff members. Can you unpack that for us a little bit more?
Yes, I gave one example, like a committee, but there are so many other ways that you can be a teacher leader within your building. When you're thinking about students and being an advocate for them, of course, you're naturally advocating for the students in your own classroom. But maybe you hold a small MTSS group later on in the day. And so it's not just your students, they're the students who are now in that grade level that you're noticing there's a curriculum piece that might be missing something, or there's potentially a growth area that students could use more, or you're noticing from the social emotional component that those students are just not getting everything that they need. And that's where you, as that advocate for students, are stepping outside of your own space and you're talking with your team, or you're talking with the teacher that might have that student or students that needs the most support. And then you all are collaborating, because being a teacher leader isn't doing teacher work by yourself or leading by yourself. It's leading with a team. You're providing some insight. You all are now collaborating on what you can do better or can enhance for that student. If it involves now the building administrator, it involves a school counselor, it's important to bring all those players to the table because it's going to benefit that student. And when you're bringing these things to people, we're all adults. And sometimes as adults, if we don't see the priority or we don't see your intention behind it, then we kind of might put it lower on the list than it should be. And so just make sure that you're sharing. I'm seeing this in such and such, and I think that they would benefit, not what the adult would benefit in that case. Now let's talk about those adults, because adults are super important. And when we're thinking about retention, we have to remember that, yes, students are always first, but what comes next? It has to be the well-being of our staff. When we're thinking about staff, we want to think about examples as a teacher leader, some committee where you're trying to have that life-work balance with your staff. That's critical to the culture of a building. Now, it doesn't mean you always have to have one every Friday, but it does mean you have to set intentions around coming together. You could be the one to suggest at a staff meeting, your administrator begin with having a connection before content activity. So then again, that brings you all together, whether you're virtually meeting or in person. You have kind of this icebreaker and this get to know you or get to know you better at every faculty meeting. In the past, that has been absolutely well received because, again, you're thinking about the person before you're moving into the content. If there's a new curriculum piece that's coming along and you actually think you're like, okay, I actually get this, or this is my jam, right? This is math and I really love this. And you can share ideas with the staff about how you use that in your classroom. Well, look at that. You sharing information with your teammates and or the entire staff in a professional learning kind of way is a teacher leader. And you're advocating for that adult to get comfortable in the work that you're doing for students.
Great stuff there, Ann. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on to the podcast. And to our audience, thank you for listening. I hope you become a regular follower of this podcast channel. And remember, as a new teacher, we are here to help you.